Well, boys and girls, we are finally here. It's Friday, the end of the work week. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. That means two things. It's the end of the work week, and it starts the weekend where wrestling, independent wrestling, we get to have our fun, get away from the BS and have some fun. But also, we get to also talk to some of our favorite talent on STP, and here we are. This is 15 of 20 episodes, and man, are we having a blast in the middle of all this. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid, and my very special guest, the viral one himself, Millz Hendrix. Thank you, my man, for
What's
joining the
up?
show.
What's up? Thanks for having me, Don. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while, and I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to express myself and tell the world who I am.
So, is this your first interview, my man?
Yes, this is actually my first podcast since I
Oh,
started
wow.
8 months
Th-
ago.
th- This is amazing. I love doing firsts and such. Could I be a pain in your ass, but right off the beginning?
Shoot.
Is there any way we could get the camera a little higher or a little back or a little something? Because my point of view, I see your chest.
I hate when that happens. What about now?
Yeah, that's kind of what I see is your torso right now. And at the beginning, before we hit record, it was fine, but all of a sudden,
Yeah.
oh, there's your beautiful face.
How about now?
Oh, that for me personally, that's much better. But you don't look very you don't look very comfortable, my man.
No, I just changed my iPad. I switched it around.
All right, yes. Oh, that's much better. We want to see those beautiful faces of our talent that we're speaking with, my man. Doing firsts, may it be a promo, match footage, or whatever's going on, interview. I love doing them because we get to see said talent grow from where we first spoke and to see where they grow in their career. And we talk a
Mm.
lot about evolution on this show. So I cannot wait from this date. And hopefully we have a return of one Millz Hendrix on STP and we can see where he's at later on in his career.
No doubt.
But
No
hey,
doubt.
that's neither here nor there because we are right now 2022, my man.
Mm-hmm.
We are sitting here with us, the fans. Now, I don't know if you've watched any of my stuff, but no.
My, my bad. My bad.
Anything can happen. We are all, even though we're not, even though we're not live, we're live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh, so what we do here is we kind of pull back the curtain. We get to know the talent that we see in the ring week after week, month after month, and we get to know them just a little bit more if they allow us. So I appreciate your time coming on the show, my friend.
No
Um,
problem. No problem.
you already mentioned real quick you've only been in the business for 8 months. Is that what you said?
8 months. My first match was actually in the PAPW alley fights.
Oh wow. That kind of seems to be almost your home, kind of almost home promotion at this point. Is it not?
Yeah, you could say that. I considered my home promotion when I first started. It's the T2T Academy in Brooklyn. That's
Oh,
where I first like started having my practice matches and starting to grow, so I could get the chances to go to alley fights and other places.
I got you. Tell us again. Is there a specific name of the moniker that? What'd you say it was T2T or something
Yeah,
like that?
that's where I was training at originally last year, but now I'm at the Fallout Shelter
Oh, okay.
in Queens, New York.
I've seen many of familiar faces that I know go to the Fallout Shelter. That seems to be a place that is really some of the talent is going there to either really get their feet wet and get going as a wrestler, or they're going over there to hone their craft in a different environment. Talk to us about the Fallout Shelter over there. Who's training over there and what's going on?
So I only been there for like I want to say 2 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I just started out there. But right now, Masha Sanders is a trainer, Mike Law is a trainer,
Okay.
and George Santi is a trainer. Those are
Oh
the
wow.
those are the three trainers in the Fallout Shelter, and it's been good so far since I got there. They treated me like I was their own, and they welcomed me with open arms. So I'm thankful for the opportunity.
Wow. again, because I've been seeing some talent that I'm familiar with going to the Fallout shelter, and it seems like a great environment. It seems like, it's a good place to go train and learn and get your craft polished or started or whatever the position you want. Because Masha Slamovich and Mike Law, the Colossus Mike Law himself, I mean, I've seen that guy for quite a long time. Those two alone, great names in the business. Now, I'll just name one other talent, if I might, is one Nevaeh Chantel. She was over there for probably a good solid year, trying to get, hone her craft a little bit and get herself rolling and whatnot. Love Nevaeh Chantel. But Mr. Hendrix, I have seen you at PAPW, and I've seen you at, let's see, BST, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I was in the BST Battle Royal last show they had. I also did Sacrifice for Glory.
Yeah, SG. Yeah, SGW.
I was supposed to be in the 8-man title match, but I don't know if they're coming back or not.
The SGW, I'm sure they will be returning. Maybe they just got to get their feet under them. Sometimes when you make a debut, you have a direction, but sometimes that direction isn't right there for you. So you just got to kind of regroup maybe a little bit. That's just me talking out of my ass. I mean, I don't know what's going on with SGW, but hey, that could be the situation. But that was a great time over there at the debut. Sacrifice for Glory Wrestling, SGW. That was in Bridgeport. I'd just like to say the full name so the people that don't know of these promotions or names of the talent that we speak of, I want them to know them so they can look them up and stuff,
Right.
Now those were good times, but my the point being of naming a couple of these promotions that I've seen you perform live in is I boo the piss out of you when you come through the curtain, and I'm gonna go to a very recent PAPW alley fights here. Now, for the people that don't know, PAPW Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling down in East Haven, Connecticut. They have a fine facility down there to train in. They're molding some fine talent, and I speak about those young talent all the time on this show. Run by Mario Mancini, Paul Roma, Paul Perez, and I forget the fourth guy's name. I don't know why. But anywho, that's where I've kind of seen you a few times recently, because I've been booing you all over the place. Also, I'd be remiss if I did not say Test of Strength Wrestling out of East Hartford, Connecticut. I've been seeing
I had a match in Test of Strength. That's right. In the beginning of the year, that was the match that started off my year, and it gave me the momentum to go to other places like SGW, Good in Tears, PAPW. My return I made in February, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wasn't wrestling in PAPW for like 3 months, and then I got the call to come back in February, and I had the match. Forget who was the first match back. Was it Zachary Gibbs? I think it was. Well, I had a match before. I think it was Zachary Gibbs. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. I forgot. It's been a long year. But yeah, that match. I had the match with Dash and D, and now tomorrow I have a match against Elijah 6.
Oh, thank you for remembering my brain on that one. We're definitely going to be jumping into that match. I wanted to kind of revert back to Dash and D 1000 that you just recently had at PAPW Alley Fights. Now, at Test of Strength, and at SGW, and at BST, whenever, boys and girls, whenever Millz Hendrix comes out through that curtain, I boo the piss out of him.
Because I'm usually a heel, that's why.
Yes, you are, my friend. But this time, now, and the only reason why I did this, because, well, there's a couple reasons. A, because I usually, when I see Mr. Hendrix, I boo him, so that's kind of my reaction. But B, the crowd was in a weird ambiance. There really wasn't no reaction for a couple of the guys, and one of them happened to be Millz Hendrix. So I thought I would lead the chant and get the crowd behind me, and I just boo loud.
It worked. And it's because like I feel like when you away from a certain promotion for a certain amount of time, the crowd like forgets who you are. So you got to go back and remind them. So
Mhm.
when you started booing, I had a feeling they was gonna follow, and I got caught off guard. But in my mind, I was like, by the end of this match, I'm gonna have all of them chant my name, which happened. Which it happened. But it's funny because since we're talking about that match, nobody realized it. Like I want to say 2 minutes into the match, I got dazed, and it wasn't because something Dashing did. It was actually one of my moves. I gave
Okay.
him one of the head scissors, and I guess the positioning was off, and his left, I think his left foot hit me in the chin. So half the match, I was fighting days, and I was still going at it. Nobody knew. Even the ref was asking me questions, and I was like, "No, don't stop the match. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue." Because I was always taught when I first started back in 2018. I started in a place called the BWF, and they always told me, no matter what happens, if you get days, if you bleeding, the match got to continue. So when people be like, "Oh, we're gonna stop the match," I'd be like, "No, the match got to continue." So it was just something in me that wanted to continue the match and keep fighting, even though I couldn't like comprehend half the things I was doing. But it was a good it was a good learning experience because that never happened to me in a match before.
So talk to us, because us the fans, we're not in the ring, we're not performing like you guys and girls are, and you just kind of put right out there on the table something that happened within said match, and you shared it very openly, and I appreciate it. That's, boys and girls, that's the stuff that we don't get to talk to and have these conversations with at the merch tables and stuff. Talk to us though, because you're very young in your career, you're in this match, and you kind of get dazed very early in the match. And not only that, you don't want to stop, you want to keep performing. And who knows how long this match is set for, but how long it's actually going to go for. Um, Talk to us though, athlete to fan, because we're not in there. Um, you've got to try to get your oats about you like so quick
Mm-hmm.
to persevere to
Mm-hmm.
get through the rest of the match.
Yeah.
Um, is there was never a point where you're like, you know what, I am kind of a little bit dazed here. I'm kind of spooking myself by continuing. There was never a point to where you were like, no, I should really stop.
No, not even a point because I was like, I just had this instinct in me, just keep fighting. I'm gonna be okay. And then the ref didn't want to stop it until I started bleeding in the lip, and it was a lot of blood. And I just I just spit the blood out outside of the ring, and I just kept going. I'm like, nah, we gotta keep going because that was my first PAPW win, and I wasn't gonna have that taken away from me by a ref stoppage. So it was just me just wanting to continue because that meant a lot to me getting my first win in PAPW.
Yeah. I mean, hats off for getting the big dub. And not only that, Talking Tommy, they have this great young talent coming up right now. Talking Tommy, he does commentating, but he's also starting to do immediate post match interviews to kind of get that raw, organic, um, call and response between interviewer and athlete. And he's a great talent upcoming right now. And then you did an interview with him. Is that something that you're used to? Because you almost, you were like, you felt like you had something to say, but you were you were kind of beat up over there.
Yeah, I was still in the loop, so I had something to say. I had it in the back of my mind, but I couldn't get to words because the way the beginning of the match and me kept going affect me. It would had me like lost for words for a minute. So and that was my first time doing a live interview on the mic. So I'm not used to talking on the mic because I barely talk on the mic wherever I go. And I'm not like a big promo guy, but I'm trying to fix that. I'm trying to get better with my promos so I
Hey,
could get used to being on the mic on more occasions.
absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that, because I was going to point out, if you just take a little time as part of one of those tools in your toolbox as a wrestler, you just take a little time, set it aside to practice by yourself. Maybe jot some stuff down and have a game plan, or whatever you want to do, however you want to prepare, and just get right in there and just start kind of working some promos and stuff. Because my man, we were just talking. Excuse me. We were just talking to Zach Ramsey's 2 nights ago about that topic specifically, because himself and Ryan Frost, they had this story that they told us, the fans of Test of Strength, before we even got there. You know what I'm saying? There was a call and response from one to another. And then there was Test of Strength, giving us that media and just sharing. And then we're sharing. And then we get a story that's already started. And my goodness, we haven't even got to Test of Strength training day 31 yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So get a little more comfortable, embrace that part of wrestling, because we want to see those stories. We want to see the character of the viral one. We want you to tell us those stories. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And so people can have a more what's the word, understanding about my character. I give them a brief explanation. My character is the viral one / the youngin' on his grind / the Bronx prodigy. Well, the viral one is mostly like my heel work, but I use it in my baby face by the moves I do, like the Hurricanranas, the tilt-a-whirls. But basically, the viral one is like, he's the topic of discussion. He's gonna outshine everybody. He's that type of heel. But when the difference between that and my baby face, it goes into more as the youngin' in his grind and the Bronx prodigy. The Bronx is where I grew up, is my home. So I want to be that representation of the Bronx. And I want to be that shining light for the kids that live in the projects in the Bronx, that live in like the low income communities, to be like, there's a life out of this and you can make it out if you just put in the work and the effort. And that's what the youngin' on his grind goes into and the Bronx Prodigy go into. So basically, that's a quick rundown of my character.
Again, thank you for sharing that. And I think this is a very first on STP, or just in general, of me speaking with some of the talent here, that you actually have two kind of monikers, or three monikers going on here. Now, could you do well? And I'm not telling anybody what to do. But if at PAPW, instead of the viral one, if you're the face going to be regular, I would imagine you would want to be called the Bronx Prodigy instead of the viral one, and maybe keep that separate in some of that other heel work that you're doing, if that's what you're striding for.
I had the idea of that, but it's like going to a new town. People probably don't know what the Bronx is, so it's like, I figured, why not put the viral one so people could be like familiar, because I don't want people to be like, oh, what's the Bronx? What's the Bronx? What is he talking about? I'm not from there. So it's like, I had that in mind, and then I had to put it in account, like, not everybody, because I have a couple bookings in the Midwest coming soon. Not everybody's going to know where the Bronx is. So it's like, the Bronx was mostly for a promotion that was running down in the Bronx called BWF. It hasn't been running since the pandemic. That's where I first started. So I came up with that character when I was training there. So when it closed in the middle of the pandemic, I didn't want to abandon it. I was like, I'm still the Bronx Prodigy. I'm still the youngin' on his grind. Why not put it together with the viral one to see what it could whatchamacallit? I forget the words. So to see, test the waters, if you will. That's okay. I put it like that.
Yeah. No. That's fine. That's finely put. You've spoken of BWF twice. Boys and girls, I'm familiar with BWF. That's the Bronx Wrestling Federation. Obviously, they're based out of the Bronx, New York, New York City. And they are on, and I just spoke about this environment like maybe 3 or 4 nights ago. And they are at Dario's Fitness Center in the Bronx. And it's on the second floor of this gigantic industrial building. And when I mean the second floor, this thing is gigantic for a floor, okay? And it's just filled with gym equipment. But all the way to the back corner is a ring set up, and they have, some kind of art and whatnot, and it's representing for the BWF. And there's other promotions, I believe, that run at Dario's, if I'm not mistaken. Because I've seen.
I don't think they do anymore, but they used to.
Because the very first time I went there, we saw NYC. It was called Now You Create Wrestling or something like that.
Right.
And then I went back there for BWF specifically when Dominic De Niro, love me some Dominic De Niro, went against TJ Marconi when TJ Marconi was the champion. And Dominic De Niro, I went with my sister, my BFF, LC, Laura C. We took the drive over the Triborough Bridge. The Triborough Bridge. No, never mind. And we saw Dominic De Niro gain and become the brand new BWF
I think that
champion.
was the last show they had.
Really?
That was the show before the pandemic. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. I know what show you was talking about. I know what show you was talking about.
Wow. So, and they're still not running right now?
No, not at the moment. Because the gym, I think they took the ring down, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
It was new management in the gym. And I don't really know the whole story, so they're not running. From my knowledge, they're not running.
When I was describing the ambiance of up there at Dario's Fitness, that is correct, right?
Yeah, it's also a gym.
The environment up there, because the crowd is much different than it is over here in CT or
it's
Massachusetts.
A New York crowd, ladies and gentlemen, it's a New York crowd. And the New York crowds are different than, I like to say, the New England crowds. And that's what I like being a performer, because you go to different places and not every crowd is the same. Not every crowd is going to cheer you the same. Not every crowd is going to get into your stuff the same. So you as a performer got to put it on another level. And that's what I enjoy about wrestling so much. It's like when you go to a new area, you got to test yourself to see if you could go over with those fans, because those fans is not the same as the fans you've been used to.
And these are the experiences that you gain every single event. And that's one of these unique things. And I know, just like any other sport, you practice a lot, and the more reps you do, the better you get, and all of that. But I always come back to saying that wrestling is one of the most unique sports out there because of all of these elements. And that's actually one of them. And I know, just like, if you play your first football game to your 100th football game, it's the same thing. You gain little experiences. But wrestling is something that just like they say, it's always a learning experience. You never know everything in wrestling because there's different variations. There's different art forms of wrestling and such. I mean, every country basically has their own art form of wrestling. We've probably only seen the very tippity tip of what wrestling actually looks like across the entire world, because it's just so unique and different and just in different areas. Talk to us about the beginning to where you're at, because if you're saying you're only doing 8 months here, that's pretty cool, because and we talk about this on the show an awful lot, spreading your wings, getting away from home, getting out of the nest, and really, like you just said, testing yourself, challenging yourself as an athlete, a performer, a wrestler. Talk to us from the beginning to where you're at now. Were you always the viral one, Millz Hendrix, or was there a little different start?
When I first started training, or when I first started working?
When you first started working, just getting out there and getting a character together.
When I first started, I was always the viral one. When I was having my practice matches and technique to training, T2T, I was always the viral one. I was always the Bronx Prodigy. And from when I started until when I'm now, I think I've grown a lot, but I'm still trying to learn and get my feet wet, if you will. And I
Yeah.
feel like not every match, like you said, every match is a learning experience for me. Not every match is perfect for me. And sometimes when nobody sees, I get mad at myself for not having that perfect match because I'm kind of like a perfectionist. I want to have that perfect match. I want to steal the show. I want to, but it's like not. I gotta learn. Not everything's gonna go my way, and then I'm learning while I'm working how to maneuver if something goes wrong and make that wrong or right. And it's been a challenge for me, but I feel like I'm getting to that level where I could like get better as a performer. And I got a couple of good bookings that I felt like I'm kind of ready for, but it's like because I'm going like after I got this PAPW booking, the rest of May and some of June, I'm in the Midwest. So that's a new
Oh.
territory to me. I
Oh wow.
got I got Midwest All Star Wrestling. I make my debut there, and it's also a title match against the Innovation Champion Ying Muya. I think that's his name. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. And then I have a. Then I have later that month. I have a scramble match in Ohio in a debut promotion called Cincinnati Wrestling, and
Oh.
that's gonna be fun. And then I also have um in June, July, Indiana booking, but I'm in the works with that. Nothing's set in stone, but that's coming soon. And I'm
Okay.
also working on going to North Carolina for another promotion called TCW. That's in the works. That's not set in stone either. But I got a lot of stuff coming in, and I got a lot of debuts coming this year. I'm really excited for. So it's like me working in Connecticut is getting me ready for other crowds, other states and other promotions.
Uh, First off, congratulations for taking these steps because without, doing the drives, as they say,
Mm-hmm.
without doing the drives, and I know you could do the East Coast and whatnot, and find some debuts. I'm sure you will, but you could be comfortable there and kind of being a little closer to home, if you will. But not Millz Hendrix. Millz
Like a
Hendrix.
youngin on his grind. Cause that's what I noticed with a lot of, no offense to the East Coast talent, they get comfortable and they stay in the East Coast. And I had a talk with my original trainer, Brother Greatness. I was like, how can how can I really show I'm the youngin? It was like a couple months ago. I don't think you remember this conversation. I'm like, how can I really show if I'm the youngin on his grind? He's like, be a journeyman. Go to different places. So I was like, I took it to heart. So I started contacting these other promotions in other places, and I didn't want to be complacent. Always go to Connecticut, or always wrestle in New York, or always wrestle in New Jersey. I wanted to test myself with other people that's in the business, not just the East Coast, but in the Midwest, the South, the Far West, Texas, New Orleans. I want to go everywhere. I want to meet new people, network with new promotions. I want to show why I'm really the youngin on his grind. It's just not a moniker. It's who I am. So me being complacent and staying in the East Coast was never a thought. Was never like what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a journeyman. I always wanted to see new states, and it's like every wrestler in the how can I say this, are different. So you could meet different styles, learn different things from different places you go to. And if you just stay, in my opinion, if you just stay in the East Coast, you're just going to be accustomed to that certain style, and then you can never evolve. So I want to evolve as a performer. That's why I contacted these other promotions, so I could test myself with the best that they have in different spots of the country. And that helps get my name out instead of me just staying in the East Coast and then only the East Coast fans know me. And then if I go down south, they're gonna be like, "Who's this?" No, I don't. I want that reaction everywhere.
And that gives you an opportunity to, and we speak about this again an awful lot. It's always a live TV experience when you wrestle. Every
Mm-hmm.
single event is always a live TV experience. And you kind of got to do that first impression thing to
Mm-hmm.
us, the fans, so we can latch on to that for the
Mm-hmm.
next 5, 10, 12 minutes, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you do leave Indiana and do a couple stops, return maybe back to your stomping grounds, and then hit some more CT and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, 3 months later, you come back to Indiana. Those people should remember the viral one because of that impression you made that first time. And my man, I wish you a million% luck with all of that. The journey itself, making those fans across the country where you're headed, doing your thing, make them latch onto you, make them pissed off at you, or make them cheer you, whatever your direction is, and do your thing.
Thank you.
I'm very excited. Boys and girls, this exists. I can't even talk now. This is exactly why I like to start off in a young talent's career, getting their first interviews and such, and having these conversations right in front of us. And this is for an aspiring wrestler or anybody who is just so excited and passionate about wanting to be a wrestler, but they have a couple more years left, or maybe another year left because of their age or what have you. Or even somebody that's already in the business and listening to Mr. Hendrix right now. He's 8 months deep in his career, very, very young in his tenure right now. And he's making those sacrifices that we speak of in the sport of wrestling for to get your name, your brand out there, to get your face, to get your moniker, viral one, to get that name, Millz Hendrix, out there. But it's not maybe 50 miles away from home. We're talking a few 100 miles away from home here. This is no joke. He's taking a chance on himself. And without doing that, you kind of get lost in the shuffle. You get in that circle. Like Mr. Hendrix.
I felt like I was getting lost in the shuffle. I felt like I was just that kid, that guy in the card that is just going to have that match in the card. And I was like, I don't want that. I want main event status. I want to prove I can hang with the greats in this business. So that's another reason why I want to leave the nest for a few, if you will, to see if I can make that main event status, or to see if I could like make it on my own and not get lost in the shuffle. Because it's easy. It's the East Coast is a big scene, and it's easy. You could get lost in the shuffle quick. Because there's so many talented names out there, so many. So if you just leave the nest for a few, make your name somewhere else, and then come back to the nest, there's no more lost in the shuffle. Now you just like elevated your game. Now people see that. They see you killing it in different parts of the country. Oh, now I want to work with that guy. That's the type of vibe I want for the viral one.
Yes. I think that'll be the title of this one, because you've said so many cool things, but I like I like to title each episode differently to give them their own little flavor. I want to wrestle that guy. I think maybe that'll be the title of this one, because that's kind of, right where you're at in your career. Maybe when we do get a return of Mr. Hendrix, we can look at that title and because I always look back at the interviews and stuff, and I could just feel what you're saying and see the evolution of the viral one, maybe in another 6 to 12 months or what have you. Right. Excuse me real quick, because my drink is right over there and I forgot it.
It's all right.
I'm at a different locale. I left work and I took a cruise up to Springfield, and I am at my better half, Cindy Hart. She's an aspiring herself. She's been doing some ring announcing, spreading her wings, because her home base is over here in Holyoke at Shut Up and Wrestle at the Kevin Landry's Combine. That's another place you could hit over there. That's a fun spot. So that's her home base. And she went over, did some SGW, Sacrifice for Glory Wrestling. And recently we went up to Maine, up in Brewer, Maine, and did some Vacation Land Pro Wrestling. And we're actually returning next weekend. And she's going to not only do a couple of the matches this time, she's actually doing the entire event. So she's really, really stoked, and I'm stoked for her. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you, my man. And yes, congratulations to my love, Cindy Hart, because we're talking about leaving the nest and getting away and challenging yourself as a performer. and she's in the midst of doing it as you are right now.
Right.
Excuse me, I was getting so dry. Holy cow. Now, I want to kind of revert back to something you said and I popped for, but I didn't interrupt you because I did not want to do such. You said these two words, Brother Greatness. Now, my man, Brother Greatness. I love my man, Brother Greatness. Well,
he's the best. That's the shoot. He's the best.
I do love me. I do love me some Brother Greatness, but over the past year and a half-ish or so, that boy's changed, and our relationship has kind of gotten to be a roller coaster. At the events. But I wanted to touch upon him if I could, because you said he's your original trainer. That's correct, yes?
Yeah, when I was training at T2T and a little bit of BWF, not everything, because I was in BWF, I was under this luchador named Black Zimmers. So that's where I got most of my lucha moves from, when I was training under Black Zimmers. But when I moved to Technique to training, him, Logan Black, and MV Young was my trainers when I was at T2T Wrestling. So, and if it wasn't for Brother Greatness, I would have never had the opportunity to wrestle in PAPW and test the strength and all these other places. So I owe him a lot for my career. I want to thank him so much, because he's the best. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in the scene right now. So I thank him tremendously.
We love to hear those stories, my man. Thank you yet again for sharing, letting us inside just a little bit behind the curtain. That's beautiful right there, because we love us some Brother Greatness. You also said Logan Black, another fine talent out there right now, really doing his thing. But my goodness, that brother Greatness, he's fine. He does some fine work in ring. Obviously, that's what we want in a wrestler. Okay, but let's take the wrestling out of the game and bring in that entertainment value that wrestling offers the fans. My goodness,
he's the best. Like I said, he's the best. He's the best at it.
That dude is amazing. And there actually became the congregation with one dashing D1000. And if I'm not mistaken, there was Sister Kiki in the mix there for a bit. I don't know if she's still within the congregation. But I remember one time, and I'm just going to make this real quick. We're at Test of Strength, and Brother Greatness has the offering pan, I believe it's called. And it's beautiful. It's shiny. It's gold and all of that. And it's gorgeous. And he would bring it out and give it to the fans for offerings. And most people really wouldn't give him anything. So he would end up shortchanged. But anywho.
Yeah, all the fans are heathens. They're heathens. They're heathens.
And we're getting to that right now. You think we're heathens? Boys and girls, listen to this business. My man, Brother Greatness, took this thing and hit his opponent, and I forget offhand who it was, with the offering pan. It's dented probably still to this day because Brother Greatness beat his opponent with the offering pan.
That's my favorite part when he does that. That's actually my favorite part, because it's hilarious, because that's unique. Like, who would have thought about something just hit somebody with an offering pan? It's hilarious. I love when he does that. I really love when he does
that. Talk about a heathen. But anywho, his mind is always working and always on the fly. His ad libs, during that live TV situation like we speak of, his ad libs are absolutely on the spot, on the money, always fire. He's always got quick-witted responses. His facials are just off the charts, period. I mean, and I know we're kind of touching upon Brother Greatness a little bit, but man, that guy as a performer,
he's
love. Yes, love.
I'm gonna keep saying it. He's the best.
Absolutely. My goodness.
Hmm.
Great scene. I'm going to kind of stick in this topic, if you will. The NYC scene is absolutely, and I don't know if everybody that's listening right now actually knows how much wrestling is in not just NYC, but the NYC and the entire NY state, New York State itself.
There's a
But
lot of
NY,
wrestling in New York State. I didn't even know that. I always thought the scene was just in NY until I started like doing my research, and there's so many companies in New York, and I was like, wow,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, NYC. As we were stating earlier, how it's a smidge different. It's a little more on the wild side, if you will. It's a
It
little
is.
more louder. It's everything. The announcer, the music, the crowd. Everything is a bit louder and and a little more amped up, if you will. A lot more amped up.
Yep.
But but NYC has a fine array of talent for wrestlers, a lot of promotions in the NYC area. And not only that, but a lot of the NYC talent that I've gotten to know and be familiar with have been at PAPW and other promotions that kind of work around here. And my goodness, man, you guys have really been producing, and I just say NYC in general.
Yeah.
You guys and girls have been producing some fine talent over there, and I love seeing you guys and girls coming to CT, our area, and giving us some of your talent and your character, and sharing the world of wrestling with us. Because, man, that's what you don't want to see the same guys and girls kind of in a circle, mixed up.
Right.
So I appreciate that promotions do reach out and get fresher faces, younger talent, even if they're older talent, but we've never seen them before and they've never had them at maybe an example as PAPW. So
Hmm.
I appreciate promotions that do that. Now, your expression, and I want to come back again. I kind of jumble around.
Hmm.
Your expression when I started booing you when I was actually supposed to be cheering you at PAPW was absolutely priceless. Um, you find yourself not right now at 8 months in your career, and I know I kind of keep repeating that, but I want to really keep everybody's conscious about that, because that ain't shit in the time of wrestling right now. And what you're accomplishing, or what you're trying to accomplish and accomplishing right now, and what you are going to accomplish is just, right, doing it right, my man.
Hmm.
um you're feeding off of us already, and your young career, the fans, and that's not an easy thing to do. Was that something that you kind of had to warm up to a little bit, or did you kind of just jump right into that?
As in, like, jump right into it and got comfortable with it, or like,
Yeah.
I'm still not comfortable with it to this day. I still get the goosebumps every match I perform because it's not easy to perform with people. Like, there's people that catch stage fright. There's people that gets nervous, and you gotta learn how to beat that. And my first 2 or 3 matches, I was nervous. Like, I was a nerve wreck before I hit the curtain. But now I'm starting to learn how to control that. Now I'm starting to learn, like, it gotta be in my favor. I'm starting to learn that I could get that reaction if I work hard to get that reaction. So it's like, it's something I had to get comfortable with, that I'm still learning how to get comfortable with. And I love challenging myself. So it's been a challenge, but I feel like with the reps I'm getting, with the more exposure from different states, different companies I'm about to get, I feel like by this time next year is gonna be a whole different tune. Like, I'm gonna be comfortable with it. I'm gonna just be comfortable in my skin as a wrestler.
Mhm. uh you spoke of a match coming up with Elijah Six.
Right.
And that is actually this Saturday, right?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow evening at Point
Hmm.
Blank PAPW. That is 662 East Coe Avenue in East Haven, Connecticut. And I described the Paradise Alley last night, I believe, with El Ref. Oh my God, that was something. El Ref and his father, Senor Ref. Holy, that was a party. But I just want to describe it again because if you've never been to Paradise Island, you want to check it out for your first time. If you're looking at General Dollar and you're facing it in the parking lot, you just look to your right a little bit deeper. It's set kind of on behind a little more. And there's a banner for Paradise Alley, but it's a beautiful setting. It's a warehouse. You open up the door. It's a nice little, got about 60, 70 or so seats in there. And it's like a warehouse kind of setting. But they're doing it over there. They got a nice little production value that they've kind of kicked up since I started going there. That's for sure. They've definitely changed it up a bit because that was the first time I've been there in quite a while, to be honest with you. My schedule hasn't been able to work out because, again, I can't go to Point Blank because I got something going in Holyoke and then something after that. So I won't be able to go to Point Blank. So that's going to really piss me off because my man Matthias is going to defend and still be PAPW heavyweight champion in a 4-way. That's going to be fantastic. But on the card itself, and this is why I bring it up, is because you spoke of one Elijah Six. You have a match with this kid. And I know you're both young talents right now. Elijah Six has been it for probably about a few years right now, maybe solidly. This kid, and I know you're a hungry young talent. And I know all the young talent say they're hungry and I want it all and everybody better get out of my way and whatever the catchphrase or the cliches that you cats say or whatever. This kid, Elijah Six, my man, he is one of these hungry cats that,
without a doubt, he is. And
you talk about challenging yourself, testing yourself. I think this is going to be one of these matches.
It's going to be a big challenge for me. And I credit myself being a student of the game because every time they announce a match I'm about to have, before like the match, like I wouldn't say like a weekend, I study my opponent to see what I could like expect from the match. And I seen a lot of his work, and he's one of the best in the Connecticut scene right now. And I'm kind of happy in a way because this is what I wanted. I wanted to test myself with people that's in the best of the Connecticut scene. So this is my first time in the Shark Tank, if you will. And I've been in the Shark Tank before when I was wrestling in my last school when we was doing these student shows. So I know what to expect. And I love when I face a talent that's better than me because I get to improve. I get to show why I belong with talent that is better than me. And it's gonna, I don't know how to put it. Like, it's gonna be a good match. And I'm really excited for it. Like, it's really gonna test me. And I'm really gonna get pushed to my limits. And I like when I get pushed to my limits because that's how I learn.
I think, in so many words, it's gonna elevate your game. You know, it's gonna elevate you as an athlete, performer, wrestler. And I know I use these 3 words kind of all at one token, but I don't like to say either or, just wrestler. I don't because there's many things that make a wrestler, but those 3 things specifically. But these are the kind of matches that make you a better athlete, you know, and gain those experiences that we were speaking of earlier, you know. What is in the works after this match with Elijah Six? Do you have anything in the immediate future after that on your schedule?
Yeah, 2 weeks after, I spoke about earlier, the Midwest All-Star Wrestling is doing an event, Do You Smell What the Chef is Cooking? And that's in Minnesota, in around the Minneapolis area. And I get to face one of their up-and-coming talents, Ying Muya, for the Innovation Championship. That's their mid-card title. And it's also my debut for the company, so I'm really excited for that match too. So that's going to be another match that's going to elevate me to that level. It's going to test my limits because he been doing it. He's been champion in their company since, I want to say, November. And nobody has taken that title from him. And I've been watching his matches since he won that title. And this guy, he's a sharp dude out there. So it's like, I'm excited for that one. So, and that's going to bring me to that level we speak of. And all the next matches I'm having is going to put me in that level. And it's going to test myself to see if I could be in that Shark Tank. Then I have 2 weeks after that, I have the Cincinnati, Ohio booking. It's a 7-way scramble with the best in the Ohio scene. So that's another match that's gonna elevate my career, elevate me as a performer. Because it's six other wrestlers, but they've been doing this for way longer than I have, and it's gonna it's like it's gonna get me like when I come back, and it's gonna I can't even speak. I'm just so excited. Excuse me.
Yes.
When I come back, I feel like I'm gonna be in a whole different zone because I just had all these matches back to back to back to back that elevated my game, and it's gonna be a sight to see when I come to the next alley fights.
Dude, your energy is going to be off the flipping charts. Wait, did you say May 13th?
No. Whenever that's going to be, I said.
Oh, okay.
I'm not scheduled for the 13th and 14th because that's when I'm going to Minnesota.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
My bad. Because I do want to make it back to alley fights, and they are doing a double shot, but I think I'm going to make the 13th, but not the 14th. Right. That excitement, you were getting jumbled up a little bit. That excitement is what we love to see out of the young talent, because my man, that just shows the passion that you have right now for what you want to do with your career. That just shows that you're that serious about, I'm not doing this for a hobby. I'm not doing this because my friends are doing it. I'm doing it because I want to become a wrestler. I want to do it because I want to utilize this for my livelihood.
And I want to touch on something because this is
Please.
why I've been hungry more than I was in the 2021 season, because in the end of the year I lost a friend that I've been training with since I was in BWF. His name is Angel, but we know him as Angel El Patelitico. He was a luchador. He suffered from epilepsy, but he was still wrestling and he was still training how to be a wrestler. So we lost him around Survivor Series weekend, and it just pushed me and motivated me to do what I did because he loved the business, and we would go train together, and we would go to help ring crew and certain stuff together, and it was like I got to do it for me, but we got to make the big one in the wrestling box in the sky proud, because this is what he wanted, and he didn't get to live out his dream, and it's a shame, and this is why I've been pushing to get these caliber matches so I could make a statement, but not also make a statement. I could represent we call it the Bronx Crew. It's a group of us, me, my friend HAM. He hasn't been wrestling in Connecticut, but he's been wrestling in the New York scene. And Drew Doobie, another friend of mine. We all started together in the BWF, so it was like when we lost him, we lost not only a brother, but we lost like a family member. And it really hurt us. So it was like we got to show out and show up for our big brother, because that's what he wanted. He didn't want us to soak. He wanted us to make the show go on, and we got to make sure it goes on for him. So that's another reason why I've been pushing and scratching and clawing, because I have a statement to make, not just for me, but to our friend that we lost.
First off, I'm very sorry for your loss. Second off, your friend is absolutely loving everything that you're doing right now, persevering for him and yourself at the same time. That tribute, that's beautiful, my man. That's absolutely beautiful. Now, if you notice, right, where is it? Right there.
Yeah, I see it.
That's the pop. Yeah, it's a pop of the Fiend, if you will. I keep seeing it over here on the screen as we've been talking, and that brings me to something is I like to ask the talent, because I always very curious about this topic specifically, because it's either a yes or a no, but for different various reasons. Do you still watch a current product of what's going on as a fan or even as a wrestler? Because sometimes you don't watch it as a fan to learn from such, but you want to watch it as a fan just to be a fan of wrestling. So my question really is, do you watch a current product? And if you do, is it WWE, AEW, or what do you've got going on there?
Yes and no. I watch WWE when I can, but I have the the Peacock Network, so I get to study classic matches that brought me to the game, brought me to the reason why I wanted to start this. So yes and no, I don't watch. I watch the current product, but only their pay-per-views. I don't watch religiously like some fans do. No offense, I don't watch every Monday or Friday,
Yeah.
but I do watch when I have the time. I've turned on the Peacock app and watch some of the classic matches that brought me to the business. And I watch a
Okay.
little bit of AEW sometimes to see like AEW Elevation and AEW Dark, because that's talent from the indies that's not signed yet.
Yeah.
It's that opportunity, and it's like makes me hungry, if you will, because that's where I want to be at. I want to be in that next level. I want to be in that stage so I can show not just the United States but the world who's the viral one and who's the youngin' on his grind. So it's a mixture between yes and no.
Okay. I that's a fair answer. I think that might again. You had to bet another first. Now, when you're going to study some of these classic matches that got you in the business, what are you going to talk to us? Maybe just throw out 2 or 3 matches. What are you going to?
Sometimes I'll go to like classic 90 matches. Like yesterday, I was watching Shawn Michaels versus Tito Santana WrestleMania.
Ooh, okay.
I was studying that match based off of like character work and where I could work on as a performer, because those was two of the greats that to have good characters, to be flamboyant, to be like,
That charisma.
that charisma, the next level. And then what got me to the business, what got me starting the training was NXT Takeover. So I go back and watch NXT Takeover. One of my favorite Takeover matches is Johnny versus Ricochet,
Oh,
because the style, they had different styles that clash but connected at the same time, and that's what I want to have in my matches. Have that different style with the lucha, but mix it up with some technical wrestling so it could clash and make for a good match.
when I would ask the talent, at that time, probably I would say, sometime in mid last year or so, NXT takeovers were always. I do watch some of this, but I always watch NXT Takeover, and I was like, dude, I'm right with you. Those NXT takeovers, they would surpass some of those, even WrestleManias at times. And I'll be totally honest with you, or a
It was still the
SummerSlam.
show. It was still the weekend of that big major
Yeah,
event, and that's what brought me to start training, because I'm like, I want to have matches like that. I want to steal the show. I want to be that superstar that gets to that next level. So I credit NXT Takeover for me just stepping into that ring. Because if that wasn't a thing, I probably would have just thought of it as a dream. But that just got the passion moving, watching those type of matches. And they had 5-star matches back to back to back, and it was like, woo, good wrestling. That was good wrestling.
and the thing about those takeovers, though, and I always point this out, there was usually only like 4 or 5 matches legit. I don't think they did very much more than 5 matches at best.
Yep.
But the time that they gave us with those matches was always quality, though. There was
Quality
not a
match.
lot of, yeah, not a lot of fucking, like commercials and shit in between, or not a bunch of promos, and not a bunch of, cat fights in the back or whatever, shenanigans going on. And yes, I did mention that some of those takeovers surpassed, say, a SummerSlam or even the grandeur of like a WrestleMania at one point in time.
I wouldn't go
And
as a WrestleMania, but mostly like a SummerSlam.
well, my point by saying that is it was the grandeur of the event being NXT Takeover. It wasn't always about all of the fireworks and all of maybe the celebrities that surrounded X pay-per-view for WWE. NXT Takeover, you were watching it because, damn it, there were good effing matches every time, and you knew there were going to be good matches.
And the thing about NXT Takeover that I like so much, it gave me an independent wrestling vibe. It gave me a big independent wrestling vibe, because the regular WWE is all the shenanigans you say, with the attack from behind, the 100 promos after every match. And NXT at that time, it stood away from that. It was more edgier, more cutthroat product that reminds me of the independent scene, and that's that's why I love the business, because it's not just entertainment. It's quality performances within the entertainment that brought
Yeah.
me, that made me a fan, that made me want to step in the ring. So to see matches like that, it's really inspiring. It's really inspiring, to say the least.
Absolutely. And I didn't mean to cross the line with WrestleMania.
No,
I apologize.
it's okay,
Oh,
but
so
but WrestleMania is WrestleMania, and that's
I, I,
a
I know, but that is crossing the line a tad. I apologize. I got a little crazy.
you don't need to apologize. Everybody can say
I
it.
should have said like a Royal Rumble or a SummerSlam instead of a WrestleMania. My
You don't have to apologize.
apologies. uh, Working in an environment like Test of Strength, we'll say, because I always talk about the intimacy. It's legit, boys and girls. If you've never heard me speak about Test of Strength out of East Hartford, Connecticut, it's legit. You open up the door, it's a flipping room with a ring and about 20, 30 chairs, and it's very tight in there. Talk about intimate setting. That's quite the setting to wrestling, because uh, I feel, and again, I pose this question to not every single talent that I spoke to, but that intimate setting. Do you feel that it's a little not nerve wracking, because that's not really. It's a little harder, I guess, maybe, or I don't know, challenging.
I only have one match there, so I can't really speak on it.
Okay.
And from my experience, it is a tight environment, but you get to work through it. You have to work through it, and then to me, it's like the same in wrestling in PAPW. From my one match there, I didn't see no difference, because it's still fairly the Connecticut crowd. Some
Right.
of these people know me from PAPW, so it wasn't really like nerve wracking, but it was
Yep.
like the setting. I wasn't used to it.
Right. And that's another thing. The question mark of venue to venue. Like you're traveling across country here. I It could be a VFW, it could be a bingo hall, it could be a bar. You never know the setting when it comes to wrestling. You put a ring in it, the people come. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we see that all the time. But not only that, you're going against guys you've never worked with, never seen before, until you actually went and studied them somewhat on
Mm-hmm.
film. Um, and so all of these question marks, another one of these unique things about wrestling, these question marks of the venue, the setting, the crowd, your opponent. Um, these are the things why we love wrestling, Mr. Hendrix, because I think it gets the adrenaline going a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
than maybe in a different instance, if you will.
Yeah, right. And to me, like the match I'm coming up with Minnesota, and I watched their last event, and it was a sold out event, and they had over 1,000 people. So I feel like that's going to be the
Oh
biggest
shit.
crowd. It's going to be the biggest crowd at performance. So that's really going to be a test for me. So they posted it on their Instagram, and it was like it had this front row, then it had like a balcony full of people, and it was like I was like, damn, that's a big crowd.
Wow.
And I'm like, the Northeast, it has their fans, but damn, that was a big crowd. It reminded me it reminded me like a mini takeover, but not as big. Like
Right.
it was like how can I explain it? It was like a little arena, but it wasn't like a big arena. It was like a fair, like a regular indie arena. I don't know how to explain it, but it was a lot of fans there, and it was like, damn, I'm gonna be performing in a crowd like that. I never performed in front of a crowd like that, so I'm really excited for that. And
That's
it's a
awesome.
title match, so I really gotta step it up a notch, because with people, those fans, they love the business. They look, from what I've seen, they love the business. So it's like they it's gonna be an interesting experience. It's gonna be an interesting experience.
Are you doing these drives alone, or do you have a companion? Do you have a couple guys that are going to maybe
I'm
get
taking
spots?
like I'm taking a flight over there.
Oh,
I'm trying to
Okay.
gather. I'm trying to gather some people, but everybody, it's across country. Not everybody got the time to go across country. So
That's
I
fair.
don't mind doing the plane ride by myself. But
Okay.
the next time I go out there, I want to bring a couple of my wrestlers that haven't got that opportunity to wrestle outside of New York.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Love hearing what you have on your plate right now. Love hearing what you have set for your future dates in the near future. And man, the sky's the limit from one Millz Hendrix at this point.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
Such a young tenure right now in your career, doing themes right now up to this point, doing things very right, correctly.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
a trained professional trying to hone his craft on the road.
Yes,
That's
sir.
wrestling, my man. Yes, yes. I love it all. Before we go, and I forgot to actually ask him when we were talking about the viral one. Uh, Millz Hendrix, maybe not your government given name. Could you talk to us about Millz Hendrix? Is it something that you came up with? Does it represent anything? Where are we at with Millz Hendrix?
Well, when I first started, they called me Mike Hendrix, and Mike is my real first name. But some of my friends that watched me wrestle, they was like, why you calling yourself by your government? They already gave you a nickname. Like from where I hang out with, they call me Mills. So if it's like, that's my y'all name. Like it's not my wrestling name. And then it's like that sounds like a good wrestling name, and it's different. Nobody's name is Mills in the business. And I was like, yeah, you got a point. So I just changed it to Mills to see how it would fit. And a lot of people from like from where I go to open rings and go to different tryout matches, a lot of people be like, "Oh yeah, you got a good name. I like the name Mills, and it's like it's unique. Now everybody use their childhood nickname and put it in their wrestling name.
Yeah, another fine story. Yes, I'm so glad I asked that question because that's an excellent point. Um, I mean, Mills, I can't. I've never heard of one out there on the scene ever, to be honest with you. So it's something that can, and it's with a Z instead of an S. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate the Z.
Some people put an S in there. I had to correct them and be like, no, it's a Z. Like
Yes, because
I was in a promo like to set up the match, and they did a promo pic for the match, and I noticed they spelled my name wrong. I'm like, that's not how you spell my name. No. So I hit up the promoter. I'm like, you forgot they forgot the L. They put one L instead of two. I was like, you forgot the extra L, and they were like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm like, I had to correct them because I remember my first. It was like a pre-show match, and the guy didn't pronounce my name. He called me Miles, and I was like, it's Mills, not Miles. So it's like I gotta make sure people say it right because a lot of people don't say it right. I don't know why.
Uh, well, I mean, I read it correctly right off the ripper. I mean, it's very self-explanatory. There's two L's with a Z with an I in the middle. There's two L's, that means it's Mills. If it was one L, maybe Miles, if you will. But it's not. There's two L's, boys and girls. Come on, let's get with it. See, I'm a Z guy. That's why I'm glad you put a Z. I was in a band, an original band. We had a full album. We were hitting the studio to go record this thing back in 2000. And nobody, we didn't have a name for the freaking band. So we had a name that we wanted to use called the Rat Bastards with a
Mm,
Z. But
mm,
then when we were creating the album, we didn't want to put a cuss word on there,
right,
if you will. So we
right.
wanted to change our name, and we became Atrius instead of the Rat Bastards. What a flip, a 180 there.
Yes.
But yeah, I love Z's at the ends of names where there should be an S, if you will. I dig that stuff. Um,
Since we in the topic of Mills Hendrix, like when I first started training and I was calling myself Hendrix, A lot of people used to like where I work at my shoe job. A lot of people used to they used to like tease me, be like, "Oh, you Jimi Hendrix now? You're gonna come out with a guitar?" And it's like, no, like no. I just always like the name Hendrix for some reason. Like it rolls off the tongue good. Like if you have a last name named Hendrix, and it's crazy. A lot of people in the industry last name is Hendrix. And on Twitter, I came across a couple with Hendrix, and now we call ourselves the Hendrick cousins. So it's funny. It's funny how you meet certain people. So yeah. So hopefully, if you promote a watching, book the Hendrix cousins. We're gonna be going for business.
Yeah. Staying on that same topic of Millz Hendrix, because and the originality, and it's not something that you hear regularly. Working your brand, going across to different promotions across the country and spreading your wings. Um, this is how it's supposed to be done, and getting that brand out there. There's nothing similar that, again, that I've seen to a Millz Hendrix out there. So the name stands out more than getting lost in the mix. So, I think you might have something going on there. You just doing your thing, stay hungry, keep spreading them wings, and you are on a fine path, my man. And I cannot wait to see how bright the future of one viral one, Millz Hendrix is, because I'm sure he's going to be doing some fine things, not just in the very near future with his venture going across the country here, but even beyond in the next 12 months. So we definitely got to have a return of you, sir.
Next time, maybe if I return, I'll come back with a Midwest title with me.
Oh, hey, and I'm not afraid. And I know, say if you go out there in 2 weeks, we'll just say, and you go out there and you get this W, you win the gold. If you want to hit me up and do something, post winning championship, and I know we just spoke maybe a couple weeks pre, I don't care. I want the talent to come and hit me up if they've got new accolades and they want to share with us, the fans. I am more than welcome to do a little something, something. Please hit me up. Get that gold, my man.
That's the plan. Hopefully it comes into fruition. Nothing set in stone, like I always say, but that's the main reason why I'm going out there, to bring some gold back.
Yes, do that. Mr. Hendrix, this is hour and 12 minutes. Wow. This has been absolutely fantastic, my man. We learned a lot about. Is there anything that I haven't maybe thrown at you that you would want to speak on before we let you go? Because I don't want to pull everything, and I know we touched upon many a topic, but I don't want to pull everything out of you, because we do want to talk to you later on in the future.
I said about everything that's coming up, so it's like,
all right.
If there's any other topic you would like to discuss, you could throw it at me. But if not, I think we did it all.
No, I think we had a very fine conversation. Before I do let you go, though, give us, the fans, how do we find you on the old Twitter and the face page and the old Pornhub and whatever you've got?
We don't do that. We don't do that.
Oh, no Pornhub?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
But if the fans want to look up me, it's Millz Hendrix on Facebook. I got a Facebook page, and I got a Facebook account, because there's two different. They got the pages and then they got the account. So it's Millz Hendrix on Facebook. On Twitter and Instagram, it's the same handle, Millz Hendrix BX _. And on I think I got TikTok. I got TikTok, but I don't be on TikTok like that. So sorry if you have TikTok, I apologize. But yeah, it's Millz Hendrix Instagram. No, Millz Hendrix Facebook, and Millz Hendrix BX _ Instagram and Twitter.
Okay, cool. Thank you for those details, because that's how we communicate and get to see and follow your media as a talent. And I know, for one, I'm going to be watching Mr. Hendrix' page. I'm sure he's going to be sharing whatever match cards that they have put out, or whatever promos or whatever get put out and such. So I'll be stalking your page. I'll be watching your page, my man. and we'll be keeping a lookout.
Also, I got
Oh,
merch. I got merch for sale. I got the link on my bio, on my Instagram, and my Twitter. So if you're interested in buying some Viral One hoodies, I got
awesome.
hoodies, I got shirts, I got fanny packs, and I got cups.
Oh, very
Y'all
cool.
make your pick. It's the link in the bio, Millz Hendrix BX _ Twitter and Instagram.
All right. Check that bio out. Check out the merch. That's how the boys and girls. That's how they survive. They survive more off of that merch than they do at the shows. Let me tell you, my friends. Buy the merch. Mr. Hendrix, this has been such a fine conversation, and I cannot thank you for setting some time out of your life to sit with us, pull the curtain back, and let us get to know us, the fans, get to know Mr. Hendrix just a little bit more. I appreciate you, sir.
Anytime.
With all of that, this is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, the viral one, Millz Hendrix.